You know, when most of us look at a discarded smartphone, we just see a piece of junk, right? But it's actually a high-stakes battleground. On one side, it's a cocktail of environmental poisons, and on the other, it's a literal gold mine, packed with more precious metals than the ore we pull from the earth. So yeah, let's dive into this hidden reality.
So, which is it? Is that old device sitting in your drawer a toxic liability or some kind of buried treasure? Well, the answer, as we're about to find out, is it's both. All right, first, let's talk about the dangerous side of things, because locked inside all our sleek gadgets is a pretty serious environmental and health risk, and it's just waiting to get out.
In this image, this gets right to the heart of the problem. You see, while they're sealed up in your phone or your laptop, these circuit boards are totally safe. But the second they get crushed in a landfill or just thrown out, they start leaking this deadly mix into our soil and our water.
Let's just break down what's in this toxic cocktail. We're talking about lead from old screens and solder, which can cause severe neurological damage. Then you've got mercury from backlights, a really potent poison that attacks the brain. And then there's cadmium from batteries, a known carcinogen that just seeps into our environment. Seriously, this isn't just waste, it's straight-up hazardous material.
So the bottom line is this. Without professional management, our towns and cities are literally sitting on ticking time bombs. Proper e-waste recycling isn't just a nice idea, it's an absolute necessity if we want to prevent widespread contamination.
But, and this is a big but, here's where the story takes a really fascinating turn. Because that same toxic liability, it's also an incredible opportunity. We're going from the dump straight to the gold mine. And this all comes down to a really cool idea called urban mining. Instead of digging into the earth for new materials, we mine the huge piles of e-waste already in our cities. It's about seeing our garbage dumps as the new resource hotspots.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the potential. I mean, stop and think about that for a second. The concentration of gold in a pile of old phones is actually higher than in the rock that miners spend millions and millions of dollars to dig up. It's just staggering.
And on top of that, it's incredibly efficient. Urban mining can use up to 13 times less energy than digging for virgin materials. That is a massive win for the planet and for the economy.
You can really see the difference right here. On one side, you've got traditional mining. It's destructive, it's energy intensive, it scars the landscape. And on the other side, you have urban mining, recovering resources from stuff we've already made, turning a huge problem into a solution.
So what exactly are we recovering? Well, it's not just gold and silver. We're talking about critical raw materials, like indium for all our screens, rare earth elements for things like powerful magnets, and essential base metals like copper and aluminum. I mean, these are the very building blocks of our modern tech world. Okay, so we've established that there's this amazing treasure locked inside our e-waste. The big question is, how do we get it out? This is where the real magic, the new alchemy, happens.
So traditionally, we use something called pyrometallurgy, which is basically just high-heat smelting. It's dirty, it's energy-hungry, and honestly, you lose a lot of the valuable material. But the new methods, like hydrometallurgy, are a total game-changer. They use low-temperature chemical processes with green, recyclable solvents to get an incredible metal recovery rate of up to 98%.
And the process itself is actually pretty elegant. First, all the devices are carefully taken apart and sorted. Then the valuable bits are put into a leaching solution that dissolves out the metals we want. And finally, through a couple more steps, those metals are recovered as pure raw materials, ready to be used all over again.
And right at the cutting edge of this is technology like deep eutectic solvents, or DES. Now, these are specially designed biodegradable solvents that can be, well, they can be tuned, almost like a radio frequency, to target and pull out specific metals. And it's all done in a closed-loop system where the solvent gets recycled. It's cleaner, cheaper, and incredibly precise.
Okay, this technology is really impressive, but why is it so critically important, like right now? Well, let's zoom out a bit and look at the global picture.
This chart tells a pretty sobering story. We are generating a mountain of e-waste, and we are recycling a tiny, tiny fraction of it. Look at Europe. It's less than half. In the Americas, it's under a third. And in Asia, it's barely over 10%. This massive gap represents billions of dollars in valuable materials just being thrown away, not to mention the huge environmental threat.
And you know, there's a huge geopolitical angle here too. Right now, most of this material, if it gets processed at all, is shipped overseas to smelters, mainly in Asia. And what that means is that Western nations are losing control of their own strategic resources, becoming dependent on these complex and fragile global supply chains for the very materials that run their economies.
And looking ahead, this problem is about to get so much bigger. We are right on the cusp of a massive wave of discarded electric vehicle batteries. We can either let this become a lithium time bomb of toxic waste, or we can see it for what it is, the next great urban mine.
So, what this all comes down to is a fundamental shift in our thinking. We need to stop seeing e-waste as waste and start seeing it for what it truly is, a valuable asset. This is the heart of the circular revolution. This is where we start, a pile of discarded electronics. Right now, it's a toxic liability, a burden on our environment and our communities.
And this is where we end up. Through urban mining, that liability is transformed back into a pristine, high-value raw material. It becomes a circular asset ready to build the next generation of technology.
And look, this isn't just theory, it's happening right now. As Bhuwan Chalise of Smith Nepal points out, innovators in this space don't just recycle, they certify the transformation. They provide actual proof that what was once considered waste is now a valuable part of a circular economy.
Which brings us right back to our central question. Is your e-waste a toxic risk or a financial treasure? We now know it's both. But by embracing urban mining and circular principles, we get to choose which one it becomes. The choice is ours, and it's circular.